Pick 3 cities in the world that you would want to see Formula E play out. And I'm going to say limit like 1 or 2 of those to the United States. We have to have some global. We have to have some global response.
I'll use one of those because it immediately came to mind. Not in the United States, but just barely by an imaginary borderline. We never got it in season 9, but Vancouver. Vancouver would be a sick one. I can't remember why that one was I think it was COVID stuff.
Yeah, it was an issue with one, the pandemic was current, like fully afoot. But the other thing is that it was part of an electric like sustainability festival, and they just totally botched the production required in order to host the race. So it was basically the local government actually failing to account for the infrastructure that was needed to host the race, and then they fell behind, and so they had to cancel it.
We could maybe see it with a shift of power in Vancouver. So I'll count that as one in North America or the US. The other one in the US that I think would be really cool, pulling kind of out of the books of the Miami Grand Prix going around the Hard Rock Stadium, is where the Dallas Cowboys play in Arlington, Texas. You don't even have to use the stadium at this location. You could just have the race in the parking lot and it would still be plenty eventful because the parking lot itself here, we did this with Berlin at Tempelhof. We found it from the satellite. So here, let's back out here. Big old Texas. There I am, Fort Worth, and then Arlington's in the middle. Let's just get close. Right there. So not as big as Tempelhof, obviously, and then kind of just in a mess of.
Yeah,
of
dude, Tempelhof
metro.
is making this look like such a little beta parking lot.
But if we go street view
look at
here,
this beta. Look at this beta concrete. You call this a concrete stadium? Yeah, right.
But still, I mean, it's massive. I mean, if you've ever seen a Cowboys game on TV, they show the blimp.
What about like Houston? Like Houston's one of the most populated cities in the United States. So
yeah, but we want to talk about, governing bodies. Houston is fueled by oil. That's where everything flows in and out. All the pipelines go down to Houston.
I agree.
There might be some pushback.
Also, really struggle with their electrical grid over there in Texas. So maybe I don't know.
Even with that considered, I would say Vancouver and then Arlington, right near Dallas, Texas, as the 2 U.S. Locations for consideration. Internationally,
yeah, you just want a Dallas E-Prix. I know it. That's the whole. That was all.
My ego would be so inflated if that were the thing. Like they're doing it for me. This is my race.
Yeah.
Outside of North America, outside of the United States, I think it would be real groovy if they came up with a track, in like Sydney, Australia. If you get, a shot of the Opera House as you're racing along, that'd be pretty sick.
That would be cool. I totally forgot that Australia existed for a second. It was so long ago that we watched the Australian Grand Prix that like I almost forgot that was a potential. Thank you for reminding me that. All right. So you got Australia, you have Vancouver and Dallas. So I think they would actually do pretty well in Chicago. I think the Chicago E-Prix would be pretty sick if they could figure out how to incorporate the river into that E-Prix as well. Would be pretty cool. I mean, Chicago is a massive city.
Right.
There's so much like space available for them to host a race. I think they could pull that off pretty easy. And I think if we're gonna do 2 U.S. races, I think Long Beach. A return to Long Beach would be fantastic. If they could just figure out how to rebuild that circuit, maybe they just use the same layout that they use for IndyCar. But see, then you're thinking about this is like, IndyCar already does that. So the city has already put through, the shit for hosting IndyCar on those tracks. Imagine now you have 2 of those races a year, right? With the same level of infrastructure for it. It's tricky, right? But I do think Long Beach would probably be a premier West Coast race for them. So that would be a potential option. And then as far as races internationally. I want to see him race at Macau. That I think has so much opportunity. And realistically, I'm sure like as the series goes on, they're probably going to go there. That's one of the craziest circuits with the most carnage. And I know that's probably makes me somewhat of like a sadistic little weirdo for wanting them to race on these challenging circuits that are known for their crashes. But I think it's like it's like almost like other Monaco. It's like Chinese Monaco. I think that would be an absolutely killer race.
Well, Formula E dignitaries, if you're tuning in, I don't know, just take our suggestions, what the fans want. I think you make a good point too with just in the US with Chicago and Long Beach, like just considering the politics of it all. I think I'm starting to second guess my pick in Dallas or just a Texas city in general, just because it's a little bit more conservative. They're big oil folks down in Dallas. It might be, in enemy territory.
Dallas, I thought of something.
What?
If we're going to do a Texas race, I think the only way Formula E can pull it off is they need to race around the fucking Tesla factory in Austin.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They need, and Tesla is not allowed in the racing series. They are just going to race just around the factory, and they're going to do 10 times what a Cybertruck could ever imagine.
I would say that. I would toss that up between the Tesla factory and then if we go back to Houston, around a massive oil refinery.
Yeah, that's the move.
If one city says no, there's another one that's going to say yes. And I think it's a good segue just to remind everyone, to vote. Go to town hall meetings and specifically ask your representatives what their feelings are on electric racing, and get a feeling, because you never know. Back in season 9, started watching, right? This is a international league, places I didn't even know existed on a map. And then the next year they're like, we're going to do it in Portland too. It's like, son of a bitch, sign me up. So you never know where the electric circus is coming. So just get with your representatives now, plan for it. We could see it in Cornfield, Iowa. I don't know. There's always a chance.